Hello, East Boise tutors and other tutors who may be interested in this rock and mineral identification portion of Cycle 1 Classical Conversations, weeks 21 through 23. We are going to be using the Rock and Mineral Identification Guide done by Half a Hundred Acre Wood. East Boise tutors, this has already been emailed to you and you're welcome to take a look. I will have this printed and with the rock and mineral guides for you that we will pass around to the different classrooms. If you are not an East Boise tutor, feel free to check out Half a Hundred Acre Wood. They have some PDFs that you can purchase and download. So the first week, week 21, we will be going over how to identify different minerals. Week 22, we're going to take the different knowledge we have from identifying different types of minerals and identify a group of 12 different minerals. And then week 23, we're going to be identifying rocks. This is an awesome guide. I really like it. If you have time with your classroom, feel free to read some of the different scripture related to rocks. Definitely the one that I am going to refer back to with my kids is the Matthew 7:24 through 25, the wise and the foolish builders, and we're going to discuss different types of rock and why they would be a wise thing to build on or a foolish thing to build on. This is such a fun way that Half a Hundred Acre Wood put it all together. And I'm not going to go into detail about everything they did because you can purchase and download that information. But it's a hike through mineral identification stations. East Boise tutors, feel free to read through as your students are going from station to station. It makes it a very fun story-like experience for them. First, we are going to have a streak test. We're going to take different minerals and use them on a unglazed porcelain and streak them each, identifying what different colors they make. Ooh, sorry, nails on a chalkboard. As you can see, we have white, black, and red. So that's a fun way to do a streak test. Each of your minerals will be identified, but we're using graphite, hematite, and satin spar or gypsum. And as they identify them, if they see a red streak, they're going to be able to flip that over and see that that's the hematite. If they see the black streak, they'll be able to flip that over and see that it's the graphite. And then a white streak is that satin spur or gypsum. So it gives them a really good chance to get a hands-on idea of how to use a streak plate, and we will bring this into week 22. All of this information they're going to be able to use for when they identify the different rocks in week 22. The second is the luster test. For the luster test, we're going to use feldspar or microline, pyrite, prolucite, and calcite. Please forgive my mispronunciation if I am getting any of those incorrect, but we're using those 4 different minerals. And for the luster test, we will have those different minerals and 3 different station cards. Vitreous or glassy, metallic, and dull or earthy. And this one is interesting because the feldspar is glass-like unless it is worn, and then it is more dull, and that is definitely how ours looks. You can see a little bit of the glassiness in the light, but I know some of our classrooms are a little dark, so you may want to grab the flashlight for our next station to kind of show a little bit of that glassiness. And then the metallic being the pyrite, and the dull and earthy being the prolicite. So having a chance to go over each of those rocks and identify them, having the ability for the kids to guess or flip it over and make notes in their lab notebook. Please have them bring their lab notebooks, make notes. Week 21 and 22 will be the same page for their lab notebook, and then week 23 they'll have their own page for the rock lab part. Transparency test, we're going to use biotite mica, magnetite, muscovite mica, and selenite gypsum. And we're going to see how transparent they are with the flashlight. So looking at each of these different minerals with the flashlight. You can see my sticker. I have to show you this gypsum, and I don't know if you can tell on my finger how the light just goes right through. So an opaque is that biotite mica and the magnetite, and then the translucent to transparent is that muscovite mica and that selenite gypsum, which are these two. So very interesting transparency test. And then the last one is the hardness test. And we will be using a penny and glass to scratch. I have my Mohs numbers on here, but definitely you do not need to use the Mohs test numbers for week 21. You will need them for week 22, and a penny. So for week 21, they're going to see if a one of these minerals scratches the glass, and if it scratches a penny, and whether a fingernail can scratch it. Ooh, that bothered my fingernail. So there is one mineral that will be provided that will scratch the glass, one mineral that will scratch a penny or glass, and one that can be scratched with that can scratch a fingernail. So we will be using the talc, fluorite, and quartz. The quartz will scratch the glass, the fluorite will scratch a penny, the quartz obviously will scratch the penny as well, and then the talc will only scratch the fingernail. So that is the last station we'll have set up. I don't think you will have any problem using all the time allotted for week 21. I really enjoy this. Have the kids practice the different ways they are going to be identifying the minerals. This is definitely a very fun and hands-on science experiment.